we're going to have is anarchy.
Amuda-Kannike.
Yes, sir. Yeah, in my own opinion, I think yes, it's not yet Uhuru, like they say, 20 years of our democracy and active elections. We are not yet there, but we must also know that we've made some modest progress, and the reason why there's something we're not addressing. There's a lot of apathy on the side of the Nigerian. Don't be surprised that quite a chunk of those voters' cards, the people are not just interested and they're not going back.
And what's responsible for that? The apathy is created by something.
The apathy is as a fallout of the fact that our system is not as efficient and they don't believe their vote counts. Now, we had a situation
or that their votes have not delivered the desired dividends. So
that is also,
I think it's easy to say they don't count.
You can say they don't count. They don't count as that's one leg, and that they're not getting the necessary democratic dividends. So they don't believe it's worth the trouble. They've given up on democracy in the country, and that is a serious problem. But in my own opinion, we must also remember that there was a time that we were voting without the card reader. Right? Yes. That was the worst situation. Whether we like it or not, the card reader...
And votes were, or results were allegedly written even before elections.
Before the election. So yeah, we've made some modest progress. And the card reader has brought some level of sanity to the INEC process of election. Now, what I will plead to the people is what I think every stakeholder should, we shouldn't give up on the system. Even as it is, we are not, yes, I know we can develop to an extent where we can vote, electronic voting, both on our phones and everything. But let's face it, we are not yet there. But let us modestly, no, I know, no, we can be there. But we're talking about an election in February, right? We believe that after that election, we would have leadership that will have the political will to make some of these things happen.
That was what we thought in 2015. Yeah.
Yes.
But here we are in
I guess we made a mistake.
Going to 2019
I guess
again.
It was a wrong call. I mean,
that is
why it must have been a wrong call. That is why we are probably not seeing any improvement in the process of election. Because if any good leader sees the fact that you are elected by a system and you see that the system was a little bit faulty, one of the things you need to do for posterity is to make sure that the system that you are going to put in place, even for your re-election or election after you, is better than the system that brought you in.
I mean, may God rest
That is the truth. So what has the current leadership done about the voting process in 3.5 years? That question must be asked. But as Nigerians, we can't afford to give up.
And that current leadership includes the legislature.
Yes, I agree with you. It includes the legislature.
Yes, and the legislature has, like the executive has done absolutely nothing to improve the system.
But let me tell you something.
Which of course is a throwback to what Professor said. Yes. Because the system seems to benefit.
Yeah, they are beneficiaries of the system.
No, the truth about it is that when you look at I don't know of any other legislature, but I know about the 8th Assembly because I'm actively involved. There have been robust bills and motions that have been debated on the floor of the House, and some of them are even passed to look at a situation where the system of election can be more credible. You have heard of that one that went back and forth. A lot went into that bill. It was passed, it was taken to the president for assent, it was returned. We addressed his concerns, it was taken back to the president for assent, it was returned. So I think the legislature has done their own part. So whatever you do at the legislative end, the assent is to the executive. And the legislature is waiting for the last ultimatum that, look, if through this process is not done, then we might need to veto.
But in fairness,
I think
in fairness to Nigerians, I mean, may God rest the soul of President Yaradua, who won an election and accepted. Admitted the process that brought me into power was flawed. And he took steps. The Ways Committee and the rest of them was a genuine concern to deal with that.
And the presidents after him have just refused to implement that.
So it is not an issue of, I mean, yes, it is apathy, but then we're beginning to see the consequences of apathy in Nigerian politics where legislators go homes and they are stoned. Where members who are elected cannot go back to their constituencies because they are unacceptable. Now, so it is not to say that there won't be consequences for a leadership that doesn't take responsibility, and I mean, we have never had a disappointing regime, I will say this, and with all sense of responsibility, as between 2015 and 2019, because we have never been as partisan. So a bill will pass if it is an APC bill, and it won't pass if it is a PDP bill. So Nigeria had been put as the third interested person, because both partisan divides have not been able to come together and say, look, let's put this country first. So it's either you are pro-Buhari or you are anti-Buhari, and this is where we find ourselves, and Nigeria has been left behind.
Okay, Mr. Lagi, very quickly, because our time is fast spent, and we must go back to the primary issue, which is that at what point are we going to apply laws equitably? Provisions of the Constitution, provisions of the Electoral Act, whether at state level or at the national level, at what point are we going to do so? For instance, when seats of members of legislative houses are declared vacant, for the same, well, I want to use this word advisedly, the same offenses or the same acts and attitudes that are carried out at both national and state levels, and then they are applied differently. Defections, for instance. Members of legislative house at state level defect, their seats are declared vacant. Members of legislative houses at the national level defect. Even principal officers defect. And they do not even think it is morally right for them to vacate whatever seats that they are occupying.
But the reality of the question is, as I said earlier, I don't think, I mean, they are voted into these offices. A court can get them out. Even INEC cannot declare a seat of a person vacant. I mean, the Constitution provides that somebody may absent himself from the meeting of the House for a number of days, and then after that, he
must meet a mandatory period of 181 days.
So the question is, where is our judiciary? And I've argued this severally. For as long as we allow the president decide what the law is, we are going to have a law and implement a law in accordance with the prejudices of the president or the Senate president or even the legislature. So we are amending Constitution when the judiciary has not interpreted it. So who gives the meaning to it when we all know that the judiciary is the last bus stop? Now, all you need to do to fix this system is to fix the judiciary. And let me tell you the annoying thing. We don't have a supervisory body over the judiciary. That is where we all got it wrong.
The National Judicial Commission
is not that active. I give you an example. A high court of a state may mess up. The chief judge of a state cannot punish him. Remedial actions cannot be taken immediately. So if an injustice is done by a court, for example, in Nasarawa State, I give you an example. Somebody is awaiting trial for an offense that should be a few months in prison. An application for bail is taking about 3 or 4 months for the judge to deliver a ruling, and the young man is roasting for about 3 months. Now, who do you complain to? If you do a petition from Nasarawa State to the National Judicial Council, for example, on this matter, it will take the next 2 years, you have my word, and this judge will not be called. Now, courts will go on recess right now. The courts in Nasarawa State are on strike. So everybody who is awaiting trial will be in prison for as long as this strike is on. Now, who cares about the rights and the condition that these people are? How can we remedy that? These are the questions you have in this country, and you keep asking. So, if somebody's seat has been declared vacant today, do we have a judge who must sit on this issue and say, okay, I give an injunction, maintain the status quo until I come back from vacation?
But you have vacation judges. You usually have vacation judges.
I'm a lawyer. I practice here every day. If you ask me, and I can tell you that the judicial system does not remedy the wrongs that we are. And that is why you have as much crime as we have in the community, because people just don't believe.
I agree with you. Because, yes, people. I mean, you even have situations where courts of concurrent jurisdiction will give different interpretations.
Exactly. So if people are not satisfied with the state as the giver of justice, they go back to self-help. So all the violence you hear in this country is because the state does not give out justice as at when due. So if we have a system where you wronged me and the state can punish you for a wrong and reward me for being right, you have my word, violence will die, impunity will die, lawlessness will die.
And electoral manipulation would die.
It won't even exist. It won't even exist because it won't be a contest between the contestants. It will be a contest between the law and the person who failed to enforce the law as it is passed. So election petitions must necessarily be against INEC and not a contest between two contestants.
Okay.
Because none of them contested the election. Look, it's not a wrestling match that you can say I throw these points and I didn't throw it correctly. It is a context that both parties are at home and an organization conducts the election. And at the end of the day, the individuals are fighting and wasting their money, and the person who conducts the flawed election goes away free with it.
Professor Zwaka, one last word.
Well, I think this issue about the legislature particularly and the instability we're facing now, we don't want them to derail the democracy that we have. And in whatever state, because some of these people, the governors just want to, you know, in some of the places, they want to maybe continue to hold on to power by all means. So this infighting, they should put Nigeria first, you know, whatever they're doing, so that at least they need the country. If they create all these crises, it's not going to help us.
There has to be a country for politicians to contest.
Yes.
Of course.
Yes.
There have to be a state for politicians to govern.
If you allow me, my own opinion is that most of the problems in the legislature, really, unfortunately, is due to the interloping meddlesomeness of the executive.
Okay.
Whether at the state or at the federal level.
Establish your independence. I mean,
all right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Establish
Thank
your
you.
independence.
Thank you, gentlemen. Our time is up. We must go. But must thank our resource persons for joining us today. Professor Yusuf Zwaka is a lecturer in political science department at the University of Abuja, here in the nation's capital. Thank you so much, Prof, for joining us. And Innocent Lagi, former Attorney General of Nasarawa State, is with us. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having
And
me.
Honorable Abubakar Amuda-Kannike is a member of Nigeria's House of Representatives, representing Ilorin East and South Federal Constituency. Thank you so much.
Thank you for
joining
having
us.
us. Thank you.
Well, join us again when we bring you a fresh edition of People, Power, and Politics. Goodbye for now. Thank you.